Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, August 18th, 2016. We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Pazur.
Here.
Ms. Etzel.
Present.
Mr. Spinks.
Present.
Mayor Abouassili.
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Sternheim.
Present.
Mr. Draper.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, I have the pleasure of administering an oath of office for Logan Baburek. Please come forward.
Oh, run while you have a chance.
Logan is joining the police force, and I understand your grandfather worked for the city at one point? Wonderful. Okay. Please come over here. Right hand and repeat after me. I, Logan Baburek, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa and the ordinances of the City of Marion, Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of the office of police officer in the City of Marion, Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law. Congratulations. At this time, we have citizen presentations or comments. Yes, sir.
Everybody for a minute.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Mike Tope. I live at 170 26th Street Court, Marion, Iowa. I see on the agenda that we're looking at a tax exemption for the Marion Airport. I don't believe that's necessary. They pay approximately $40,000 plus out there at that facility. We as a city only own the runway and one building, which is about to be demolished. We have no other funds coming into the city from that facility except for by the private owners owning out there. If we offer this tax exemption out there, then actually in the end we'll have to offer ePlast a tax exemption out there, or any other businesses that go out to that area and build and utilize that airport. And then, of course, we open a Pandora's box when it comes to other businesses in the city. Will we offer them tax exemptions to come to our city and not pay any taxes? And finally, all this tax exemptions falls on someone to make up the difference. Me, you, everybody here. And it's not fair to us as taxpayers to give someone a foot up. This airport was bought by an individual that made a $300,000 profit inside of 60 days, 6 months after he bought it, by us buying in also. I don't have a problem with that. That's capitalism. But to make sure that he doesn't pay any taxes, I'm dead set against that. On a second agenda that I'd like to bring forward that is kind of near and dear to me was over the last year we have turned around and we have had a sidewalk ordinance. I'm going to bring you up to date on what's going on in different parts of the city that we're given waivers on these sidewalks, whereas you turned around and ordered an 80-year-old man, irregardless of his financial abilities or his abilities personally to take care of his sidewalks. This is the first house on Indian Creek Trail, and they turned around and said, we need to clean this up, and we need time for this, and we don't need a sidewalk. Well, he's got an RV sitting there now. This line here is a cow path where people walk, and they've gotten it clear down to dirt. This needs to be addressed. 1 year ago, in the first week of September, was when we gave him his waiver. I think his time is up. The second property is right here, about 2 blocks up from him. One side is mowed well, the other side is knee-deep in grass. That's an ordinance violation. Why? Why is it still for sale? Why is it being held like this? And as for the cow path, there it is in all its glory. So you can see people are utilizing this, and we need a sidewalk there. The last one makes me scratch my head. This one has a gravel driveway through that lot, and it goes down behind that brown wooden fence to a bigger parking lot that is on city property. Not only that, there's no sidewalk there, but they're utilizing it as a car lot and a car sales lot to move their vehicles. I think it's time we turn around and we put sidewalks in there. They came forward last year and they complained that, it's going to cost us. If we put a house in there, it's going to break the sidewalk up. The problem with that philosophy is this. They sell the lot. The guy who's building the house fixes his sidewalk, not them. So I ask that you address this, and hopefully we get sidewalks on Indian Creek Road. Do you have any questions?
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Sir. That's fine. Everyone will get their chance, so come on up.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
City
sir.
Council, my name is Jim McCrawley. I'm the new commander of Post 298 in Marion. New kid on the block here. Worked here many years ago at K-Hawk, left, came back, and got into the Legion several years ago, and now I'm the post commander. My reason for addressing you very quickly, and I appreciate your time, is to see what we can do for the city of Marion. I would certainly like to come up with some type of a community project, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to go about it, and I thought I would approach you people first, and I'd also like to go to the school boards of both Marion and Linn-Mar. A lot of our programs have to deal with children and youth, Americanism, veterans and their assistants, and we certainly try to do that here at our post. So I would like to leave my card with your city clerk, if that would be okay, and certainly like to stay in touch with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Go Navy Week.
Yes, I was asked to announce that Councilman Draper and Councilwoman Pazura are honoring Navy Week this week, so thanks for reminding us, and Happy Navy Week. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. come on forward.
My name is Linda Miller, 4001 North 10th Street, Marion, Iowa. I'm probably speaking at the wrong time. I want to talk to resolution number 8. Do I come back for that, or do I talk now?
It's fine.
Okay. The way I understand it is the building code fees are going to be increased for another visit for after the first inspection. Now, I'm a landlord, and if I miss something or the tenant misses something and you guys inspect and then I have to come back, I'm going to get basically a fine for it, for having them to come back. And I'd like to know if there's some leeway in that because I was fine with it the way it was before. If something was wrong, I could get it fixed. And I don't think I've had very many things in the 10 years that I've had the buildings.
Come on, who can answer that? I didn't see you there. I'm sorry.
I
Please.
spoke to him earlier.
And for the record, I'm Ron Hoover, the Director of Building Inspections, and also we cover the housing inspections that she's referring to. And there is leeway, there's discretion on not charging that reinspection fee if it's a minor thing that can be accomplished on the spot or can be accomplished through other documentation without us having to re-inspect property. And if there's a concerted effort to try to comply and there's some unusual circumstances, we do have discretion to not charge that, but this gives us the authority to charge it in those cases where we should.
Okay, but when I was speaking to him earlier, he said, if there's a person that's had a laundry list every time or something, that's why they're enacting this. I just want to make sure that it's not going to come back and get me if it's something I missed, even though I maybe should have seen it, but if the tenant didn't mention it to me and I didn't see it, I think I want it on record that there should be some leeway there.
Okay.
That's about it.
Thank you.
And I don't know. Section 8 in Cedar Rapids, if you have a Section 8 tenant, I don't believe the city charges for an inspection fee for that apartment because Section 8 inspects every year anyway, that apartment, and they do the building as well. So if you don't have that as an opt-out, I'd like it included as an opt-out for people that do have Section 8.
Okay. Is that something we can explore?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next? Yes.
Wanda Van D, 1025 Fairview Drive.
Welcome.
About the Fairview Drive project. You guys probably thought you'd never see me again, and we're hoping that. However, I'm here, and I think the police chief brought extra people in case he needed to escort me out this time. I'm not quite as angry and frustrated as I was the first time, and I do want to say that I came the second time and thanked everybody, or a couple guys, because it was kind of refreshing. But now today, I was so excited last Wednesday when we had concrete put in, and I thought, oh, we're getting really down to the end. And Wednesday night, I didn't expect it at that time. I mean, the guys were out there 9:30, 10 o'clock sawing. I don't know that much about concrete, but I didn't know they'd be out there at that time of night. I did not expect them to do that, which was really nice. And Saturday I woke up and I heard these noises out there, and I thought, that's not something I normally hear. They were out there, and not good with equipment, I assume an air compressor, but they were blowing out the saw marks, and then I assume it's whatever they put in, oil or whatever in the cracks. They were filling those out, and I thought, wow, Saturday morning, this is awesome. So maybe next week we'll have some driveways. We don't have any driveways. I have not seen anybody there. I believe it was Tuesday, And I don't know, and you guys all know, but this big concrete block that they put in, or box that they put in for the storm sewers, there's one close to mine and across the street. And when they laid the concrete, I suppose they have to cover it up. I don't know how you do it, but anyway, there's some like goofy concrete on the top of it. Well, I think it was Tuesday. There was a truck out there and a backhoe or whatever you call it, breaking this concrete up. It was clunky concrete. I don't know if they just had to put something to kind of protect it, whatever. Anyways, breaking that up, and I thought, oh well. And I thought, crap, they're putting it on that new concrete, breaking this up and putting it on the concrete and then digging the rock out and I thought, oh, and that's nice new concrete. But anyway, so I assumed then maybe the next day or so they'd be starting. I think he went on down the street. I don't know. I didn't pay any attention. But then I thought, well, they'll start on the driveways. I really have not walked all the way down to Hannah, but I know at my end of where I can see there are no driveways done. Which, I don't know how fast it is, whatever. But anyway, I was so excited to get the concrete and that we were, getting close to the end. And that September's coming, and supposedly it's to be completed by September. But 70 days, I don't know, that's a week into September. But my question is now, and I'm not going to be complaining, so you don't have to escort me out. The 70 days, it's 70 working days. Now, is that days that they can be working or only days that they are actually working? And the other question I have, since my husband and I put in the driveway and paid a penny for it, pretty penny, and they have re-rod in it, and it was a couple of the guys said my driveway was really nice, it was really done. Will, when they put my driveway back and the other ones, I'm concerned about mine, I guess I don't care about everybody else's, will they put the re-rod back in when they do the driveways?
Yeah.
Well, to start off, I guess we've been aggressively pursuing Rachi Construction to get them back on site. The concrete company, I think it's E&F, would like to get back and start working on driveways and have been able to do that since at least the middle of the week. There's some grading issues going on between the two companies, but we have asked them every day this week, corresponded with them every day this week to get them back on site, and they have not done that. The earliest we've been told is possibly mid next week before they'll start on driveways. They've also been reluctant to open the site to the residents to allow them to drive and park on the slab. We do not have the ability to do that because the site is theirs and insured by them. As far as driveways, we normally pour them back the way they came out, but we also have a spec for we'll pour them thicker than what came out. We, as engineers, feel that the rebar use in that condition does not provide much benefit, but we can work with you to make sure that happens. So.
When they were tearing it out, I think one of the guys said they didn't really like my driveway because it was too hard to get out, and their big backhoe did not crack nothing out. So they said it was really good. So
the rebar is there for flexural strength, and in that application, it does not provide a lot of that. So. The other question, as far as working days are days that they can work, not necessarily whether they're there or not. So they are currently being charged working days. They are still within the schedule of being able to complete the project within the working days provided. So.
Yeah, I think I did the 70 days, and it's like the 10th or 9th or 10th of September. But, and I've been marking off the days that they can and not be there.
Yeah.
Like the week that I was gone, I don't know if they could have been or what was going on, but I didn't count those days.
We're out there every day, and we're documenting the weather every day. We do all that documentation as part of our project administration. So
now I did see today somebody was across the street working in the house across the street. Do you give people permission to move the barricades and go on the street?
Absolutely not.
Well, they were there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sir? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Charles Knutson, and I live at 2835 24th Avenue, Marion. In November 2015, I spoke here at a council meeting at which time I suggested that the council ward seats should be elected by voters from the respective wards and not by at-large voting. In February 2016, I wrote a letter to this council requesting that the council review the present election code and amend the code to reflect voting by ward residents only for ward council seats. On April 7th, 2016, I again spoke here at a council meeting and asked the council for information as to what it would take to change the election code. There have also been a number of other Marion residents who have addressed this issue with the council as well. Recently, after not receiving any information from the council, I became aware of the various ways the Marion City Charter could be changed. 3 weeks ago, a group of Marion citizens met to discuss this issue. The group felt that the council did not want to have to address this issue. After checking with the Lynn County Auditor's Office, I was told that for an issue to be placed on the November 8th, 2016 ballot, that it would need to be filed with the Auditor's Office by August 31st, 2016. Within 14 days of drafting a petition on August 1st, the group of Marion citizens was able to secure 575 signatures of Marion residents in support of the petition. We were overwhelmed by the support shown by the signees. The petition reads, "The undersigned requests that an election be held for the purpose listed below. Signed by residents of the city of Marion, Iowa. The purpose of this election is to revise the present city code, Chapter 2, Charter 2.03, Article 2, City Council, Paragraph 1 as follows, quote, the other 4 council members shall be known as ward council members. They are to be nominated by the qualified voters in their respective wards, but one from each ward is to be elected by the qualified voters of the, and deleting the words city at large, and inserting the words respective wards in the regular city election. This will require the ward council seats 4 of 7 to be elected only by the voters from the respective wards. I am pleased to announce that the petition signed by the 575 Marion residents was presented by Mike Tope and myself and received by the Marion City Clerk, Wes Nelson, on August 17, 2016 at 10:08 a.m. On behalf of those who have signed this petition, I request that the council do whatever is required to file it with the Lynn County Auditor's Office so that this issue gets placed on the November 8, 2016 ballot. And before I end today, I have a concern. I note that on today's council agenda, there are 2 items under the H, Administrative Other category. Number 1 is Resolution 25527, calling for a special election regarding amending the Home Rule Charter. And number 2 is the motion to receive and file a petition requesting a special election regarding amending the Home Rule Charter regarding the election of City Council members by their respective wards, Charles Knutson, 3835 24th Avenue, and Mike Topes, 170 26th Street Court. First of all, I'd like to say my address is 2835 24th Avenue, just for records. Since the issue of ward residency only voting was first brought to the council's attention last year, and knowing that the citizens of Marion have taken the time to continue that discussion with the City Council to get to where we are today, wouldn't it be proper to first address the H2 on tonight's agenda, the citizens' petition, before addressing the H1, the council's resolution? Are there any legal requirements as to if H1 or H2 should be addressed first? Finally, keep in mind, there is a deadline when this issue needs to be filed with the Lynn County Auditor's Office so that it gets placed on the November 8th, 2016 ballot. Thank you.
Do you want to address that? Or
we could
Don?
address it when we get to that point in administration, if you'd rather do it there. Otherwise, we can do it here. But essentially, what Don did is he revised the proposed city resolution to incorporate the language that was proposed from the petition. And so the resolution that Don has prepared uses the same type of language that they were proposing in the petition, removed the piece that Don was also proposing to deal with the residency issue, and then we'd be allowed to move forward with it. In Don's correspondence with Lynn County, the Commissioner of Elections, they said that the city does have a little discretion to work with the language to make sure that it fits into the ballot, providing that you're not altering the intent of what the petitioners wanted to do. And so Don just took the language from the petition, adapted it into the draft ordinance that he had already done. So at that point, it didn't really seem like there was reason to do it one way or the other in order of operations.
Okay. I just want to make sure there isn't any legal issue as to step 1 versus step 2 and what gets priority. You know, we have a petition that 575 people have signed, overwhelmingly in support. 97% of the people we talked to signed the petition. I mean, that's a statement in itself, and to be able to get that in 2 weeks. We started this action before the city council requested any language to be done. And it's like, if we didn't come with this petition, I don't know if you guys would have ever requested that language to occur. So I just don't want the public's input to get put on the shelf.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Larry Smith, 1890 7th Avenue, Marion. I have a small craft shop here in Marion. Came before this council in May of 2013. At that time, they approved a CHIF program for my business. 2 weeks later, the planning director pulled that without ever notifying anyone that he pulled it, and I never was given the CHIF program. So then finally got on the agenda in February of 2016 after the city manager did some research into what happened to my CHIF program, and it was at that time the council voted to approve the motion to give me a 3-year rather than a 5-year CHIF program, which was $2,865, and you instructed the city manager to take care of that immediately, and even Mr. Mayor, you came up to me after and said it would be done immediately. This is now August. The comments I get back from the city manager's office, either I'm out of the office, I've given it to the city attorney to take care of, haven't got your contract ready, don't have nothing ready for you, or I got bigger fish to fry. Now, I think this is a little disgusting that this council will put up with this kind of behavior from a city manager. If he's not capable of doing the job, replace him. Otherwise, cut the check and quit messing around. So what I'd like this council to instruct the city manager to get the matter taken care of. In addition, and they could ask to maybe take a vote of the voters here, maybe they need to tack on a high interest rate for an unsecured loan, as far as what I call this, because not secured, they won't pay the bill. So you go to the bank, get an unsecured loan, you pay a high interest rate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm sure that we're taking care of this.
I sent Mr. Smith the agreement and release yesterday for him to take a look at. One of the things that we ran into with doing this is that it's not being done as a regular TIF deal, so we actually had to create an agreement out of whole cloth. It's something that didn't have a precedent that we couldn't really go back to. Additionally, I don't think I have ever said that I had other things that was a higher priority, so I was going to get to those first. What I have said to the City Council is that when you drop projects into the middle of departments that already have a work plan put together and already have things that they need to get done to make sure that you're meeting the council's deadlines, sometimes those projects do take priority. It was never intended to make Mr. Smith feel like his project didn't take priority, but between the things that we had in the work plan already and then needing to create this agreement from ground zero, it did take a while. But he's been presented with it now, and from this point forward, if he's comfortable with the terms of the agreement and we get it back in and get it signed, we'd be able to cut the check
Do you have the
next
agreement,
Friday.
sir?
No. It's not
It
an
was-
email, it's not
It
in the
was
mail.
emailed to you, and it was CC'd to the mayor and to Councilwoman Pazur when I sent it out. If you don't have it, I can print it out for you.
Okay, that'd be fine.
And I think we established the last time you were here that there was not an approval by the city council of any TIF for your project.
That's
While
right.
it may have been discussed with the staff and there was, for whatever reason, you had the understanding, I'm not saying that it was correct or incorrect, that you had the understanding that it was going to be approved. The city council never approved it. It never came to the council. So just to clear that up for the record, but hopefully this will clear it up
But the
now.
motion was approved in February to get this done.
Correct. And I hope that we'll get this taken care of now. You should have it, and if you don't have it, he will provide you with the agreement, and then we'll get it done.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Is there anyone else? Sir?
This is regarding the property tax exemption. Would you prefer me to wait until later? Or now to discuss the property tax exemption?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Well, I'm Cole Norton. I'm from Marion Airport and Luxair Aviation. I think the airport committee has been doing a great job, and I just have to respectfully disagree with Mr. Tope's comments that the airport does not is not needing a tax exemption. I also want to clear up that the exemption is for 11.3 acres of the 26 acres that Luxair Aviation owns. So it's not all of the property. It is the property that the Lynn County Attorney thinks is eligible for the exemption, being that it is benevolent and charitable use. We use that land, and we allow the Boy Scouts, Civil Air Patrol, we park cars on it for the fly-in breakfast. We allow a farmer nearby to bale hay on that land. We do not charge him anything for that. There's absolutely $0 being made from this ground. In fact, most cities do a lot more for their airport operators than just a tax exemption, although we would greatly appreciate that. If you go to a typical airport, you're going to find that they pay the operator of the airport at least $50,000 a year, pay for snow removal, lawn care, and they also provide all of that equipment to the airport operator. In addition to us doing all of those things, we also pay for $11,000 a year of liability insurance, which covers the city's property. We've also made $750,000 of improvements on our land, all to benefit the public. We do make some money off of those improvements. However, it is all public use. And just to kind of further that, the runway that we have there now does not support any of the improvements we've made. So we've kind of jumped the gun on that, doing it ahead of time in anticipation so it's ready for when we do get an improved runway that we can land some traffic on and some planes that'll actually be able to buy some fuel. And then there was also a comment made about some $300,000 profit. I've been there since day one, and I can tell you that that money it didn't just go into someone's pocket. Luxair has agreed to fund local matches on the runway improvements for the DOT, so we've already committed quite a bit of money for that, in addition to these expenses. So that money is allocated to run the city's portion of the airport. That's all.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, sir?
Sir, Cole?
Whenever you, do you meet with the airport commission and tell them this?
I do attend those meetings, although I'm not a member of the committee, so I don't want to say too much and start overstepping my bounds, being also involved with the private side. So I'm certainly there to be asked any questions that would need to be asked, or if I'm very available, I would think.
See, I think that's if you could if they would allow you to tell them this, tell the commission this, and, then the people, like
Sure.
Mike, who's on the commission, he would know what's being talked about.
Yeah, and it is kind of hard, and I can understand their position, and there's no hurt feelings from me. Lon did a great job of explaining at a committee meeting kind of what has transpired up to this point and why things are the way they are now and the hybrid that's taken place. So if there were any questions, there's certainly been opportunities for that to be opened up. I just want to make sure it's clear that we're not just like L-Plast, who that's not really something that would be an exemption because they're not part of the airport. We are part of the airport, and we're managing it. So it's just kind of one of those things. It just kind of goes both ways, I would think.
And I think that it's a good point, not just for this, but for everything. We want accurate information, and if anyone has questions, it's certainly good to ask questions. So please ask the questions and get the right information. We just want to make sure everyone has correct information. So.
Yeah, and I'll do my best with being at those meetings and things. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Kay Lammers. I live at 28 22nd Avenue, and I'm just curious, of that 11.3 acres, are there any buildings on it? There are buildings on it, because he referred to it as a grassy area. You don't get taxes off a grassy area. So I was just curious if there were any buildings on it, because we only tax buildings. We don't put a lot of taxes. That's why we don't have a lot of golf courses, is because you don't get any taxes off of them. Got to have a building to get taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll proceed with the consent calendar.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented. Items 1 through 20, 22 through 26, 22 through 26, which include resolutions number 25507 through 25519 and 25521 through 25523.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented on the agenda, items 1 through 20 and 22 through 26. Any discussion?
Your Honor, I would like to remove 2 items, one being number 8, the resolution approving a new table for the building code fees, and number 21, resolution 25520, approving the Marion Airport tax exemption.
And also
That
number
one's already,
9.
21's already been.
Okay.
Number
But
I
I
don't
think she
know.
wants to put
I
discussion
still-
on it.
When did that come off?
He excluded
I
it.
excluded that one.
Oh, you excluded that one.
Okay, so. I'm sorry, so 8 and 21?
Well, 8 then, since 21 is already off.
9 as well.
And 9.
8 and 9.
And 9?
8 and 9.
Okay, so we're removing 8 and 9 and 21 for separate consideration. Can we just do that by consensus, or do we need to amend the motion? Okay. All right, so
Reread it.
You want to vote on what's been passed.
it's items 1 through 7, 10 through 20, and 22 through 26. Okay? Discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
You want me to read 8 then?
Number 8, yeah.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 25511, approving a new table of building code fees.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25511. Discussion. Yes, ma'am.
What I'm curious about is this going to encourage or discourage improvements that could be made to properties, because some of those fees are raised pretty heftily. That's my question.
I don't know.
I know when I made the changes to the property I have, there was a dearth of nobody was working, and so I got some good prices, but I still had to pay the
Permit.
I'm sorry?
Permit?
Building permit.
We're a building permit. I'm having a surficial moment. And fortunately, I made out because there were construction companies that weren't working, and they were very happy to get my business. But now you look and there's so much going on that these people are just not being able to take advantage of construction companies, and now we're going to charge them more money to even make the good parts that should be done to their property. And I don't know. I don't know what the reaction would be to this, and I don't know if possibly tabling and waiting to hear from people who are contemplating making changes. I don't know.
I guess hearing the question and hearing what Ron was talking about, because he said that it could be possibly wavered, some of it could be wavered. If that's the case, it probably needs some definition in the code as to what's the trigger point that you'll go ahead and charge for it if you have to come back. And so I'm proposing that maybe add something into the code that says after so many violations, that on the reinspection that you'll pick up the $50 fee or whatever.
If I can, two different resolutions. The resolution under discussion now is the building code fees, the building permits. And in that one, the fees had not been modified for 9 years. And as I'd mentioned in the Tuesday meeting, it's the fee schedule, the calculations is not a straight line. It's a bit of a curve. And so the lower end projects, there's no increase on the very small projects. Right. And the maximum increase is around 10% from what it is currently for some of the larger projects. But
10%.
As far as discouraging, if there's any permit fee, sometimes you're discouraged from coming in, but it's reflecting the cost of doing the service.
Well, if there hasn't been an increase in 9 years, then I congratulate the city for at least keeping something reasonable. But now, I don't know.
But it just needs to have something that says, not to the person's discretion that,
The discretionary one that you're referring to is on the housing code inspections.
Okay. That's why I said
there's
9.
a reinspection and an additional fee for $50 for that initial reinspection if there's violations found and inspection was required. The housing has a policy that of inspections that was approved by resolution, also by council previously. There's no changes in that because the fees are in this part, but that policy gives some discretion on not charging those fees if it's circumstances or a minor thing where you do not have to physically go back and do a reinspection.
Okay, well,
That helps.
Thanks, Joe.
Ron, I have a question. And I'm thinking of historical property again. Does the county arbitrarily come and ask you for building permits? Do you report building permits? I mean, say the Made Right building, which was extensively remodeled. How was the county aware? And I'm thinking of my own building, which I've spent a lot of money on. How is the county aware? To me, I'm maintaining that property. I'm not improving, and I don't want my taxes to go up. That's what I'm concerned. How does the county become aware?
The county asks for reports, and they get regular reports from our department on the permit activities. They also regularly come in and view the files and compare what they've found in the field versus our inspection.
Do you regulate or figure out what is maintenance and what is, is a roof maintenance? You have to apply for a permit. The county tickle to death to increase your taxes. New windows in a 170-year-old building is maintenance. County tickle to death to increase your taxes. Do you recognize what's maintenance when they audit those?
In our system, we differentiate between maintenance and new construction. What the assessor does with it, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on the
Thank
topic
you.
of the fees? Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 25511, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Will?
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 25512, approving a new table of housing code fees.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25512.
Well,
Discussion?
Would this be the one that would add wording to clear up that discretion? So would we want to table this and have you come back with wording changes on it?
In my opinion, the wording is in the policy of inspection.
I didn't hear all of what you said.
It's already there.
In my opinion, that wording exists already in the policy of inspections, and it is not in the fee schedule that you're...
Okay.
But there is discretion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Doesn't
All right.
need to be in the fee schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 25512, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
We do 21 on its own then?
Yes.
Or do you want to put it in with,
No,
just do it now? Okay.
I think that's what you wanted to discuss it.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve resolution number 25520, approving Marion Airport tax exemption.
Second?
It's moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25520. Discussion?
Your Honor, I think that there's too many questions involved with this, and I think it needs to be tabled until it can be, A, studied further, and B, have some question answered, because this never came up when the initial negotiations were being made for the airport. And I think that there may be some people that feel they're being taken advantage of. And I think that this really needs to be tabled. In fact, I will move to table this motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table the motion. Any discussion on tabling?
I have a question. Is it the exact same thing that was done prior to the sale of it? Is that not
Yeah,
correct?
the city extended the same thing to the Waltons back when they owned the
difference?
airport. It's an interesting thing because it's a hybrid model where you've got partially publicly owned, partially privately owned facilities that all serve the airport. The key to it, and the reason that Lynn County even allowed it the last time, was because the airport serves a public use. That's very different than private companies like Legacy Manufacturing or El Plast, where that's private property. They're not allowing the public to use or benefit from that property in any way. And in many ways, they're almost acting in the same manner as would a nonprofit as far as providing a public benefit for the use of the private property. That's why Lynn County was even willing to agree with that, because they take a pretty hard line on what properties should be taxable and which properties should not be taxable. You know, when it was originally raised, I think to Councilwoman Pazur's point, I think there was an assumption that when the property was split and transferred, that it would just automatically get continued with Lynn County. And Lynn County did not automatically continue it. They requested that a new resolution be done to make sure that the council was explicitly accepting of the public use of the private property, and then they would allow that tax exemption to be granted going forward. That's why it came back. That's why it was not brought up during the original negotiations, because I think there was just a presumption that it was already in place, that of course Lynn County would continue it, but with the parcel split, they split, and of course the city property, of course, was tax exempt, and they reverted the other one back into taxable status. It wasn't discovered until 2016.
It's the same amount of land as it was before?
It's actually less land than it was before, because when they split the properties, they actually had to pull off the acreage that Jan Walton retained and continues to live on before they were all together. I think they increased the size of that parcel.
And the county is okay with this amount of land being tax exempt?
This is what Lynn County said they would be willing to do.
All right.
Did you want to address the council?
So while he's coming up, my question is as well, Cole had mentioned that, they have buildings on this land. If they use them, say, for aircraft storage or whatever, and they collect a fee, we won't see that. The city won't get that tax.
Lot 2, second edition Marion Airport consists of 26 acres, I believe. 11.3 of that is what we're requesting for the exemption.
Go by those again, the what?
It's 11.3 acres for the exempt portion of the property.
11.3 acres.
And we certainly weren't aware that anything would be changing with the taxes. It's the same land that's exempt. So there's no areas that changed per se.
What buildings are on the land? What are the buildings?
There's the FBO building, fixed base operation. It's really everything that's not the runway is this whole second edition. But there are no buildings on the tax exempt areas. That's how they came up with it.
Oh, I just think it's just not a real clear-cut type thing. I would like to table it and be able to chew it over. We just got this on Tuesday.
So the discussion now is about whether or not to table it. So.
Yeah, and if council wants to table, that's fine. We'll come back and we'll show you the maps so you can see the transition of the property. Because we are talking about property that was one parcel before and split, and you can see what the property lines look like, and we can delineate for you which areas specifically we'd be talking about.
Well, so there are or there are not buildings on it? Because I thought earlier it was said there are buildings, and now you said there are not buildings.
There are no buildings on what we are requesting to exempt, but it's all one big piece of land.
Sure.
It's all one chunk.
Sure.
But you can kind of just cut it in half. There's no buildings on this half, and that's what we'd like to exempt. There are buildings on the other half.
The 11.3 has no buildings.
Right, correct, absolutely correct. And I can come back, in a week, and we can do go over it again. But it's a square, and you split it in half, and some has buildings and some doesn't.
Now, is that chunk a real estate term?
Probably not. I'm not very technical with that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
A picture would solve a lot of.
Okay, so let's stay on task here.
We have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second to table. Is there anyone who wants to have further discussion on whether or not to table it? Is there anyone who thinks that it should be voted on, or?
I think really the best thing for the whole city right now would be if I could, and I'll just follow up with you guys later, but I'd like to invite each and every one of you individually or as a group to just go out there and talk about it. So if you look for an email from me later on, we can go over that.
Thank you. Any further discussion on whether or not to table the motion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of tabling the motion to approve resolution number 25520? signify
Aye.
by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is tabled.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve consent calendar with Mayor Abalosely abstention from voting and discussion regarding the following items as presented. Number 27, resolution number 25524, approving partial payment. Number 38 to Martin Gardner Architecture for professional services related to the downtown facade revitalization program in the amount of $1,925.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25524. Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. And I'm abstaining for potential conflict.
Yes, Your Honor, I move approval of Resolution 25,525, approving Ron Hoover as the second signer on checks over $20,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25525, approving Ron Hoover as the second signer on checks over 20,000. Discussion?
I have a question. I was wondering whether or not we want to identify this as an individual or the position for replacements or change in this position by title. This resolution would have to be modified.
Typically, the banks want an individual identified because we'll do signature cards, and that way they have somebody that they can compare it to.
Correct.
It would be a little more difficult to do that with just designating a position.
Okay.
That goes back to my thought is that whoever's on that should have seniority and not just, like the police chief, just assigning it to the police chief, you're going to get a new person on there.
Right.
So
I totally understand. Obviously this will be a resolution that will have to be modified from time to time. So,
Right.
yeah, I understand.
And it's probably not a bad idea to revisit it
Periodically.
when you need to and appoint a new person,
Well, Councilman Spinks on Tuesday suggested that the most senior person on council, which would be me. But I'm just as happy that Ron's going to take over because when the IRS comes sniffing around, it's you, baby, not me.
Any further discussion on resolution number 25525? Nope.
I
Okay.
assume you've asked him.
Yeah, Ronnie, all right with this?
Sorry.
All those in favor of approving resolution number 25525, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I move to approve the second consideration of Ordinance 16-10, amending Chapter 105 of the Solid Waste Ordinance and establishing base monthly collection fees at $14.25 and reduced monthly fees at $11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 16-10 regarding the solid waste ordinance establishing base monthly collection fees at $14.25 and reduced monthly fees at $11. We're still going forward with this, or?
Your Honor, I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay.
I'd like to amend the motion on the second, or the reduced monthly fee of $11, effective July 1 of 2017. And I'm making that motion because that'll allow us to find out what other cities are doing, and we'll still be within the law, and we'll still be able to carry forward with our new fee. But we would, in effect, delay the discounted thing that we found illegal at this point.
But what's going to change that's going to make it legal in 2017?
Because we're delaying it, we're not making it effective.
No, but I'm saying, what is going to make it legal in 2017 if it's illegal now?
Well, by 2017 or within the next 6 months, as we go to the League of Municipalities, we have people going to their meetings, and as we search out what other cities are doing, and it gives the legislature the time to clean up the mess that they've made in the thing.
Is that likely that the legislature is going to take this up?
It's difficult to say, since they're not in session, it's not something that you can
I've
throw to
asked,
them right now and
I've
see if
asked
they're going to take
Mr.
action on.
Reisner if he could move forward on that.
I think probably the cleanest thing is to just amend the motion to just remove the reduced fee until, if there's a change, then we can always reinstate it.
You can't do that on the second consideration. You'd have to start over according to Robert's Rules of Order. You can add a word, but you can't change the purpose of the motion. Mr. Hoskins?
I'm not sure that Robert's Rules of Order, we don't use them fully as it is.
Well, according to our charter, we do.
Well, that's good.
It's not in our charter. We had a resolution many years ago adopting.
Microphone down.
We adopted the Rules of Order.
As the Robert's Rules, as the Rules of Order.
Okay.
For the council.
I'm just trying to keep it legal and get the motion passed so that they can move ahead with a solid waste ordinance. Or start over with it. You have your option.
Well, right now he's made a motion, and we probably shouldn't even be discussing it until there's a second. Otherwise, I mean, if we're using Robert's Rules, it's dead by now because for lack of a second. But is anyone going to second it? Motion dies for lack of a second. So now we're back to.
We can't conceivably pass a motion that's been declared against the state ordinance.
Exactly.
You know, your option, I believe, is to table it if you don't want to amend it.
So,
If I could, Your Honor?
Yes.
As we discussed on Tuesday, the recommendation from staff was to, and the Public Services Board, is to make a motion to amend the ordinance to eliminate the reduced monthly fees. Talking to Councilman Draper, there was concerns as to the impact on senior citizens. However, it would be up to the City Council when that would go into effect. Okay? And so what the board has requested that the reduced monthly fees are eliminated and consistent with state code. However, if the City Council wanted to specify a certain date or somewhere where it becomes effective, that's what initially the Public Services Board did recommend. However, I'm not an attorney. I can't speak to whether or not that's consistent with state code.
Yeah, what kind of risk would we be taking by doing that?
The risk that you would be taking would be that you're basically directing the staff to continue with something that we now believe to be illegal and perpetuate an illegal behavior. But more than that, if a citizen were to raise that issue and bring in the state auditor, say you elect to wait for 6 months, they do have the authority to tell you you have to go back and back bill those people that you've allowed to illegally benefit for that period of time. I believe that's actually what they may be looking at in the case of Cascade is I think they can tell them to go back and collect for 3 years the back billing.
wow.
The City of Cascade has since changed their ordinance to repeal reduced monthly rates.
Okay, so your recommendation would be to amend this to be consistent with what we believe is required right now.
Right.
At a different time, something changes where it becomes acceptable and accepted under the law, then we could always change what we're doing to accommodate, what people want to do to help seniors or whoever.
Yes.
Your Honor, I really think that people who receive the ones that receive the discount would be much more in favor of this than looking at possibly having to pay back amounts that could be ridiculously high. For God, I can't even talk today.
We know what you're saying.
Okay, you get it.
Do you have
saying.
an amendment to make?
And just to be clear, I don't want to overstate the risk. I think it's probably a question of scale. If you were to elect to allow for 60 days or 90 days or something like that, I don't think that that's something that the state auditor is necessarily going to wield the hammer on. If you were going to say that we're going to keep it in place for 3 years, that's something they're probably going to look at.
Okay.
Okay, so,
I'll make a motion then to amend the ordinance, stopping it at $14.25 and cut out the reduced monthly fee at $11 and go with that as our second consideration.
no, I don't think you can.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to amend ordinance number 16-10 so that it will establish base monthly collection fees at $14.25 with no reduced fees. Okay, and discussion on that now. And my question is, do we have to have 2 more considerations of this, or does this count as I mean, is there anything wrong with having 2 more considerations, just to be clear or safe?
I would say no, because it's removing something. You're not adding anything new.
Okay, so this should be the second consideration?
Yes.
Okay, so
You're
basically.
changing the motion, though. It can't be the second consideration, Donald.
It's up to the council on how they wish to proceed. State code.
Well, then let's start over.
Well, let's make a motion. First, we throw out Robert's Rules of Order entirely, and then we'll move forward.
No.
Well, let's discuss the motion and vote on it, and then we can have a motion on whether or not we want to waive the rules and have this be a second consideration, or whatever. Yeah, is that okay? Is that acceptable?
No.
Now, right now, before you've got the motion to consider to amend the ordinance.
Right.
After you would take action to amend the ordinance
Right.
to Mr. Draper's concerns, the council could just direct staff, let's do 3 readings of it as though
That's
it were
what
a
I'm
new
saying.
ordinance, but that's separate from this motion to amend.
That's the point I
That's
was trying
good.
to make. Let's consider the motion now as amended, vote on it, and then you can decide what you want to do about having another extra reading or.
Is it easier to vote it down and then start over?
Well, then they have to put it on the agenda again.
Yeah. Vote.
Let's just vote on the
0.
amended motion.
No.
But the way I had made the motion, the way it's going to be recorded, I had said that this was the second consideration.
Which is consistent with the agenda.
As amended, though.
Yep.
Just for clarification.
Okay, any other
So
discussion
do we
on
need to vote that down then, since it's being called the second consideration?
Well, I think if we come back and change it, then we will.
But your amendment said second consideration.
Yeah.
So that should
But
be a no, because we can't make it the second consideration.
Well, basically, then what you want to do is vote no on this. And so that it cancels out the whole ordinance, and then start over
Bring it back
with the
next.
first reading.
And can that be done at this meeting?
What you would want to do, okay, let me make a suggestion.
Okay.
You've got a motion and a second that Councilman Draper is objecting to it because of the wording. You could have the motion, the person who made the motion and the person who made the second can withdraw that motion, and then no vote is required. You could then restate the motion to say, amending Chapter 105 of the Solid Waste Ordinance as an establishing base monthly collection fees at $14.25 and reduced monthly collection fees at $14.25. That doesn't change the purpose of the ordinance, doesn't change the words, but it equalizes the 2 rates. We can proceed with it for second consideration and move forward with getting it passed. That way, if the council ever did, or the state law changes and you can do a reduced monthly rate at some point in the future, the wording is still in the ordinance there for you to allow you to be able to do that and move forward.
Good suggestion.
Well, now I am confused.
Okay, so then I withdraw the
Roberts doesn't allow
motion.
that either. You cannot change the amount.
We're going to have a difference of opinion on that
Well-
because we're not changing the purpose of the ordinance.
I'd be glad to have a difference of opinion.
So in the light of that, then I withdraw the motion then, and,
And I withdraw the second.
okay. There you go.
Okay, so now we're back to the original ordinance.
Correct. So
And
should
do we want to withdraw this now,
well,
or just vote it down?
Do we need to change? I say just vote it down and then.
Change the word.
That would be the
If you vote it
easiest thing.
down, we can just come back with a clean one, with a single one, and we'll start it over at the first reading. That's perfectly fine
Good
as well.
idea.
That you can do.
Any further discussion on ordinance number 16-1 as presented in the agenda?
Hopefully not.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, the motion is defeated.
This is a motion to receive and file staff report regarding correspondence associated with the 2016 sidewalk assessment project.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file the staff report regarding correspondence associated with the 2016 sidewalk assessment project. Discussion.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Both the requesters have been notified of the meeting tonight. I don't think either one of them's here, but you might want to ask.
Is anyone here to speak on this?
Thank you.
Any discussion on this? All those in favor of the motion to receive and file the staff report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
and I'll make a motion to receive and file a staff report regarding correspondence associated with the 2016 sidewalk inspection program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file the staff report regarding correspondence associated with the 2016 sidewalk inspection program. Discussion? None? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Sir?
Just one quick comment. I received a notice to fix my sidewalk, which I have done, but the city code requires it be done by certified mail, and I received mine by first-class mail. So I basically could have ignored the city notice because it didn't follow city code, the notification. So you might want to look at that part of it
We're
for
sorry.
future. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Sir.
The code states that it may be certified, and we have not yet done that round. We do several rounds of friendly fire letters, and then when it gets to the point where we get down where we cost the city a lot less money, we do a certified mailing.
Thanks for that clarification.
Oh, it's me. You want to make a motion to approve resolution number 25526, approving a request for Crutchley's second edition final plat for the property located on Martin Creek Road in Lynn County, Iowa. Crutchley Farms.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25526, approving the request for Crutchley second edition plat, final plat. Discussion? None? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, make a motion directing staff to prepare an ordinance that would ensure front yards could not be used as a parking or storage area in residential areas.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct staff to prepare an ordinance that would ensure front yards could not be used as a parking or storage area in residential areas. Discussion.
I do have something I would like to maybe include in this. During the winter months, when there is snow removal to be done, and on certain streets, et cetera, in order for people to get their streets cleaned, if they were to pull into their front yard, or for trash pickup and things, so that the area is clear, so that the city can do its job, that maybe that would be an exemption. Just a thought.
Okay. Sir?
May I discuss something?
Sure, come forward.
I'll just give you my name. It's Mike Tope. I live in a court. Every Monday morning, afternoon, I remove my Jeep from the court and I put it up in a grass triangle in front of my picture window. I have a slanted sidewalk to my drive. I have a single stall drive with a single stall garage. The wife puts her vehicle there. Mine goes in the street. Monday night is when I put it up there because Tuesday morning, them big white trucks that pick up garbage comes into that court. I've been doing this for years. My neighbors know I do this. I make sure that I do not hinder their job or cause them to cause damage on my property, my vehicle. In the wintertime, when we get severe snow, because I have four-wheel drive, I place it up there also so that the court can be cleaned out in an appropriate manner. I'm just asking, am I going to get ticketed over this if I do that, trying to convey and help you guys out? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
I have a question about how this will be enforced. Isn't it usually just like a complaint from neighbors?
Yeah, the case that Mr. Tope was talking about that's not what we're concerned with. It's the long-term effects of someone that parks in their front yard every day, ruts the yard. It's an eyesore. When we get complaints, they're usually a long-term parking issue. It's generally an attractive nuisance in a neighborhood. Something like what Mr. Tope is talking about isn't the case. It is the way that we process it would be a municipal infraction, which for something like this it'd be very difficult to even proceed because he moves it on and off. So yeah, I don't foresee that being an issue. We're looking for like the person that maybe has a large vehicle parked in their front yard. It's rutting. It's there on a consistent basis. So, and the ordinance language will be brought back for consideration. But anything in the zoning code is processed as municipal infraction. So it's not like we can go write a ticket or something like that.
So right now, this is just directing the staff to draft the ordinance. We can look at the language.
Correct.
When it comes forward. Okay? Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion passes.
Yes, Your Honor, Resolution 25527, calling for special election regarding amending the Home Rule Charter.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 25527, calling for a special election regarding amending the Home Rule Charter. You have a presentation?
Yeah, just for the benefit of those in the audience and just to draw attention to the council of a couple of things. If you were just to read the title of this resolution, it says it's a resolution calling for a special election, but I wanted to call out here underneath Section 2 that Don put into the ordinance that the special election is to be held concurrently with the general election. So you're not authorizing a special election outside of the general election cycle. And then the language that is really germane is down here that I've underlined, where it says the other 4 council members shall be known as ward council members. They are to be nominated and elected by the qualified voters in their respective wards. That's the area that Don had a little bit different wording in the resolution that you saw on Tuesday, where he's made the tweak to make sure that he's carrying forward the intent of the petitioners in putting this resolution forward. And then once the council adopts it, this will go to Lynn County and they will place it on the ballot for November.
Thank you. Any questions for Lon? Any discussion on this?
It just so that this will run during the time of the regular.
Be on the same ballot.
On
Right.
the same ballot?
Of the November election.
Okay.
Correct? Yeah. Right, Don? Yeah?
How the election commissioner will do it, I don't know.
Oh,
but
it's
it'll
in their
be
control.
at the same election.
Same election.
Whether it's the same sheet of paper, I don't know.
Okay. But discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 25527 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I move to receive and file a petition requesting a special election regarding amending the Home Rule Charter regarding the election of city council members by their respective wards. This comes from Charles Knudsen of 2835 24th Avenue and Mike Tope of 170 26th Street Court.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to
2835.
receive and file the petition
what I said.
requesting a special election regarding amending the Home Rule Charter regarding election of city council members by their respective wards. Any discussion on this?
I guess when this was brought up, I was opposed to it, but after, 550 names, that says that people are interested in this. So I appreciate the effort you did to bring this to our attention.
Any other discussion?
Kind of beats a 2x4 between the eyes,
Well,
doesn't it?
sometimes it takes that for me. My wife says that anyway.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to receive and file the petition signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Discussion?
Your Honor, I would like to bring about 4 items up. Rob and I will be at the library on Saturday morning at 9:30, from 9:30 to 11:30.
Rob.
Will.
What? God, I'm sorry.
Who is she looking at? Is that your boyfriend?
It could be. Well, I will be there. Sorry.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
Noted.
thought the kidney stone was
Secondly,
there.
in driving around town and just checking things out, I noticed there are a lot of in-ground pools, and these pools that you can buy that are about 3 feet deep that are not fenced. And as attractive nuisances, I think those are dangerous, aren't they? Isn't there an ordinance or
There
something
is.
about this?
They're supposed to be fenced, yeah.
There are requirements for fencing around pools.
So, because I would hate to see some little kid, floating.
Yeah, I mean, we need to know about them, so if you have them, you need to let us know. That's the way that works. But anytime an in-ground pool is put in, that's certainly made known.
Yeah. Also, items on the parking, that antique place on 8th Avenue occasionally still uses the parking for property, and I know that, because I've done it, if I want to get rid of something fast and I put it on the parking, like within 2 hours it's gone, which I think is great, because if somebody else can use it, fine. And I just wonder if there isn't something that could be done to discourage this, which would be to have some kind of a resolution or something that if items are left on the parking, that's fair game. Think about it. Well, and lastly, we lost 2 longtime Marion residents this week. Jen Stickney, who I think had been a clerk, hadn't she, at one time?
Yes.
With the city, and Don Balster, who was a good friend of mine, and I hate to see people go, and especially nice people, so. I'm sorry, Rob. That's it.
Okay. Well, I just had a question about the sidewalks lack of sidewalks on Indian Creek Road. Did we give them a time limit? I can't remember. Was it October?
There was a deadline, and I can't remember the exact date, but that is something that we've...
Coming up.
Yeah, it is. It is. So the council provided that time frame. I don't think I haven't looked at them specifically, but I don't think there's been many that have been improved, or from what I've heard, I don't think many of them even are for sale, which many of the folks had indicated they were for sale. So I think I think what the council did was a good step into getting these gaps filled. I just think that, this is one of those things where, I guess we ran it through the council. We gave some folks the opportunity to provide a time period, and I think the next time we'll probably bring it forward, because I think we were going to bring forward the next round was going to be those that have been platted for 15 years. Something to remember with the first round.
I can't remember what we said. Did we just give them some extra time, but they still
Yeah,
have
we
to
gave
put
them an extra, I think it was a year.
It was
So they should be putting...
September.
October, I can remember the date,
September,
but yeah, we gave them a
October.
period of time
September.
to bring it in conformance, because we drafted the ordinance and then came forward, so.
Didn't we give them the time so that they could sell the property? Because all of them wanted to sell.
A lot of them said that they
and
were
we
for
said,
sale,
well, you've got
actively.
this much time to sell it. Yeah.
Yep.
Are they obligated now to put the sidewalks in, or what do we
Yes.
need to do?
We'll proceed with
Okay.
notification that they need to have the sidewalks installed.
I've been checking those to see if there are any for sale signs.
The only one I've seen is on
And-
Indian Creek Road that he
Yeah,
showed.
there's two of them that have had a for sale sign. Worst vote I ever made the time I've sat here. And we were lied to by some folks that had no intention of selling the property. And it is to be revisited in September, as to my memory. Is that yours, Mayor?
We'll just bring it back to the first meeting in September. So if they're not in, and we'll have a resolution of necessity, I think is how we would proceed. And then they have there's a process that they have. It's not like we can tell them to go put it in tomorrow, but they'll get a notice that say they have so long to put it in, and we'll just bring that process back to the council for discussion. So you'll be fully aware of how we proceed. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
You done? Well, I wanted to thank the Public Works guys this week, or the last couple of weeks, for repairing 29th Avenue. That was, and of all the discussion of the city tonight, not listening to it, this was actually initiated by a person last fall that asked for this road to be updated. It was, they were talking about it, so much vibration because of the road was broken up right there that it was knocking things off their wall. But, I want to thank you guys for getting out and doing that. And I rode over it today. Boy, they really did a good job on it. And also, while I was looking at the pavement, I'd pulled over, a moving van came by, and I saw him go through the mini roundabout, not over it. He actually went through it, and the trailer did not go over the center. So there. I did not think that was possible, but he went right around it, and the trailer went right around with him there. So, now the mini roundabout. It's the mini roundabout. Read my lips. Mini roundabout.
Last week sometime, I don't remember when, my youngest and I took a drive out to Waldo's Rock Park and walked out to the pond. And I want to say, Mike, it looks very nice. The road had been blacktop out there. Looks very nice out there. The one question I have is my 6-year-old was wondering if there's going to be playground equipment out there, because she thought it'd be fun to go out there and fish and play on some playground equipment. And plans for that?
Within the design of that park, there was not any playground equipment included in that. Part of it is the footprint. It's a pretty small area that we have out there, and just the way the conditions are, I don't see there being playground equipment in that
The
park.
pad where there's going to be a pavilion, correct?
There is going to be a pavilion.
Seemed like maybe right next to it there could be a little something for kids to jump on.
If we were to do a project out there, it would be relatively small.
Sure. Well, it looks very nice out there. I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to it.
I'll pass it on
Being
to
open.
staff.
I too wanted to echo what Councilman Bazur is. Some of us get older, we have a tendency to read obituaries. And Genevieve Stickney, was the wife of Harold. And when Harold Stickney got out of the Navy, he, in 1946, came home to the family business, which was the Cozy Inn, which was there when you were at Cole. And then he and Jen bought Stickney's scoreboard in Marion and operated that many, many years very successfully. And she was a first-class lady. She spent a lot of time at the Legion, volunteered and worked at Murdoch's a little bit. And she'll be missed by those who thought a lot of her. And the other is Don Balster. Don Balster was an Army veteran. He's 84 years old. Ran Balsters for almost 40 years after Pappy Balster and ran it almost the equal amount of time. It also had been a funeral home. But the interesting thing about the Balster building, which is on the north side of 7th Avenue and 11th Street, now an antique store, is that was Marion's first 3-story building. They had another story on that building, which was later removed, and it was a hotel before the Balsters put the furniture store in there. So if some of you are thrifty as I am, you may still have some Balster furniture in your household. We do. And those are two people we should remember who were founding merchants in our community. And that's all I have this evening.
Your Honor, I have one thing. Yes. I have to I didn't get my nap today. So therefore, that's the only excuse I have for failure to be glib.
Okay. I just have one, reaching higher recognition. I want to thank the staff that who attended the Ward 1 Wednesdays in the Ward 1 session, and city council members. But, you know, I know it's another thing they have to do after their work hours, is attend that meeting, but it was very helpful to have staff there to answer questions. I really appreciate it, especially the engineering questions that I could not have answered. But I do appreciate the extra time that staff takes to attend those meetings, and it shows great commitment. So thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.